So I'm here with Devin Wallace. He's a sales rep for TicketSignup. And Devin, you were recently at the Amigo Airsho.
Yeah, absolutely. So I provided on-site support for them, and it was absolute blast. I finally feel like I've recovered and gotten some good sleep, and got rehydrated again after being out there for a few days. But it was a blast. The Amigo Airshow, that is a privately held air show at an actual military base. So that's a little different. But they actually had a 12-year hiatus, if you will. So the air show ran for several years, and they actually took a 12-year break. And then 2024 was their first year back. So it really was a really big deal. It was a great turnout, and it really was just a great privilege to help in that return of the Amigo Airshow itself. And they feature the Canadian snowbirds, which is odd being so far south, having the Canadian jet team down there in Texas. And of course, I've been doing air shows for a long time, and that was the first time I got to see the Canadian snowbirds as well. So little selfish reward there as well for me.
So when you say you've been doing air shows, you've been attending them or actually helping put them on?
So both. So my grandfather was a huge air show advocate, and so we have a couple here in Tennessee, and he would always take me and my younger brothers to the air show. So that's kind of where I started my love for air shows specifically. And then I was fortunate enough to actually serve in our military. So I got plenty of exposure to aviation while I was serving. And then once I got into this crazy world of ticket software sales, I started working with air shows pretty heavily when I started doing that as well. So kind of really all kind of lining up and coming together. And that's just kind of been my biggest kind of book of business, if you will, is specific to air shows.
Now, are you a pilot as well, or?
No. So
Okay.
I actually did. So my grandfather took me to an air show my senior year of high school before I left for basic training. And I said, man, maybe I do want to be a pilot. So I actually toured a college here in Tennessee to actually go through their pilot program. So I took a tour of their facilities and everything like that. And then once I kind of learned the cost to be a pilot, I said, maybe I'll hold off for now.
Now, you mentioned that they were on hiatus for 12 years. TicketSignup is not 12 years old, so I'm assuming they were using something else for ticketing before that. How did they find TicketSignup?
Yeah, for sure. So in years past, they just did, ticket sales at the gate using cash or credit card, what have you. But they knew that coming in today's, time that they knew that they were going to have to offer online tickets to some capacity. And so they actually were starting to look at other ticketing vendors. And so we met at the ICAST convention. So ICAST is the International Council of Air Shows. They have an annual convention in Las Vegas every December. And so that's usually whenever buyers and sellers kind of come together for a networking opportunity and to learn about each other. And so we actually were able to kind of connect out there. And then once we all kind of got back home, we just went through the sales process and going through pros and cons of different ticketing platforms, what they really need, what they don't need. And so it was a really great, learning process for them, as they've never offered online tickets before. So just kind of helping guide them along the way and just kind of be a resource for them, whether they, went with TicketSignup or not. Just wanted to kind of help them through that process, since it is, it was the first time for that team to offer online tickets.
And did they happen to see like an increase in ticket sales from moving online?
Yeah, absolutely. So literally was record-breaking attendance, almost too many people on Saturday, you could say, which was a good problem to have. That's okay. They made some adjustments, and then Sunday was smooth sailing. So a huge turnout. And then they were extremely surprised at the amount of people that purchased online versus at the gate, because they had several ticket sellers at the gate. They had cash and credit card, but it was I don't want to tell you the exact percentage, but it was single-digit percentage of total ticket sales were actually at the gate. And so sometimes that can be culture, right? So some pockets of the country just like cash, that's fine, or some different age ranges like to buy things in cash versus online. But even that team was surprised at the amount of people that were comfortable and willing to buy online, because it's of course their first time offering online tickets. So huge success there, and just really kind of streamlined the entire process.
That's good to hear. Now, how closely did you work with them as far as setting up their event and up until the event day?
So once they came on board, and we were selected as their vendor of choice, then we got them assigned an account manager. So it was myself and their dedicated account manager with TicketSignup that helped brand their page and help kind of walk through some of the features that they needed. So they do have their own website that's beautiful. It's branded, great colors, great graphics and videos. And so they wanted their ticket page to match as closely as possible to their existing website. So we worked with their marketing team on getting the right hex codes. We got the right colors and the right color scheme, and just made sure that the flow of the potential ticket buyer going from the Amigo Airshow website over to their ticket page was nice and seamless. And of course, obviously just an easy, straightforward checkout path once they do decide to buy their tickets.
Now, what kind of features did the Amigo Airshow use in TicketSignup?
So they had really big success using our store feature. So they had one of their sponsors actually donate a specific beverage to every ticket buyer. So if you bought one ticket, you bought 4 tickets, then you actually got a free drink voucher as a store item through our platform, which was really neat to see that all over the airfield. So if I bought, a ticket for me and my family, so I got 4 tickets, we got 4 drink vouchers for free, automatically added into our cart, onto our purchase. And so then whenever we got to the air show and we would go out to the drink tents, they would scan our QR code at the drink tent, and then I would say, I want 2 drinks or 3 drinks. So then they would deduct that from the inventory on my ticket. I would get my free drinks and then go on about my day. So seeing that store feature, because they weren't selling, a t-shirt or a medal or a water bottle, something that you might think of when using our store feature. They used it for a free item and at a very, very large scale. So that was really cool to see them use the store feature for that. Then they also used our ticket bundles. So they had a couple different packages of tickets that were great for families. They also used our coupon feature as well. So they did do several giveaways like on the radio, and then of course one of their premier sponsor was an organization that owned sports teams, and so they would give out tickets to the air show at the sporting events for the organization. So they did really cool giveaways, and of course the best part about that is it's free on our platform. We don't charge for free tickets, so it truly was a free ticket that they're giving away without costing anything. So that was cool to see them take advantage of that too. And then even our ticket caps. So general admission, anyone can come. As many people want to come can come. But they also had different levels of VIP seating, and they even had some that were not sold out on Sunday. So we actually helped them increase those ticket sales for Sunday for those unsold premium seats. So they use our cap feature as well, which was nice to kind of keep track of those VIP seating, but without overselling as well. And then lastly, they did use our invoicing feature. So for sending out invoices to like sub vendors and things like that.
Now in TicketSignup, I know we have some ticket management features where if you have a ticket and you want to transfer it to a different ticket, you can do that. And also if you're a ticket holder and you actually can't make the event, but you want to give it to a friend, you can do that as well. Did the Amigo Airshow make use of those features?
So they actually took advantage of both of those features. So even though the event was Saturday and Sunday, we could still kind of have the settings a little loose. So on the general admission, let's say someone did buy a Saturday ticket, but they weren't able to come on Saturday, so they just want to come on Sunday. We can set those up to where that ticket group is just fine. They can scan on Sunday and they can come. They don't have to email or ask anybody. That's no big deal. But then for premium seating that has those caps, we can have different settings on those as well. So that's very helpful for multi-day events, specifically for air shows that will have premium seating that do have caps, and then a ticket group like general admission or kids that don't have ticket caps. So it's kind of nice to be able to have some of that flexibility, but also if you need to say this ticket is only good for Saturday, then the settings can be appropriate for that as well. And then when it comes to transferring to a friend, it's pretty much industry standard to have no refunds for these kinds of events. So it's nice to be able to easily transfer your ticket to a friend, and then you settle up with them, on the money on the back end, or however you and that friend want to handle it. And so that way they aren't bothering the show, with questions or emails about, hey, what can I do with my ticket? Can you resell it for me? That sort of thing. So that definitely reduced the number of inquiries that the show gets about people that can't make the event.
Now, this being their first year on an online registration platform, did they have a lot of questions for you as they were going, or was it basically set up and they figured it out from there?
Yeah, so I mean that's what we're here for. We're here to help answer questions and help guide them through the process, which is the beauty of having kind of two layers of support, right? So one in sales, like myself, and then a dedicated account manager. This I always call them the true experts on the platform. They know everything inside and out. And so we did have multiple kind of virtual meetings like this, to where we help them kind of finish setting up some things, and then also answering questions along the way to make sure that they could, read the reports correctly and things like that. But they really didn't need too much hand holding, just to, in my opinion, because like you said, it was the first time for them to do, online tickets, and the first time for any of them to use TicketSignup platform. So it really wasn't a lot of hand holding, but we were there when they needed us though too.
So then event day comes. Can you tell us about what happened then?
Yeah, so that's honestly my favorite part of this. So it's not necessarily something that TicketSignup always does, but when we do have the opportunity to actually get on site and go to an event and see our technology in use at scale, it's really neat to see. So I was actually able to fly in Thursday night into El Paso, and then early Friday morning I met with the team and just to kind of help them set up their gate, right? So that was kind of my primary focus and role, is how can I help without being, overstepping or overbearing in any way, but just to help them get set up and show them what I've seen work well at other air shows and other events that have large gates of lines of people coming through. So I worked with them on Friday on like setting up signage and posting signage and moving tables and chairs and just kind of getting their front gates set up on Friday, and also help with their hardware as well. And then Saturday morning rolls around, and I get there early Saturday morning, and that's when I kind of help with their volunteers that are doing the ticket scanning and the ticket selling as well.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you in front of a bunch of volunteers. Was that a training session you were doing?
Yeah, exactly. So just something so that way the air show themselves doesn't necessarily have to do it. And so I brought, kind of test tickets, brought hardware, and so that way we can kind of run through some test transactions and test scanning before the gates ever open up. So just kind of make sure that, hey, because I mean thousands of people come through the gate, so we want to make sure that the volunteers are trained and ready to go as soon as they start scanning that first ticket. And that's always really cool to see someone, sure, they had, 16-year-old, volunteers that know how to use a cell phone, no problem. And they also had, folks that were much older than 16-year-olds, and to see them both, go through their training class, and then they scan a couple of tickets, and literally within a couple of minutes, they are fully comfortable and confident on the scanner or on the, Square reader selling tickets that way. So that's always really cool to see too. It's just a wide range of people from different backgrounds and different ages use the technology, and just for them to say how easy it was to pick up and learn how to use it. So at the front gate, they had between 8 and 10 ticket scanners at a time. And then ticket sellers, I think like Saturday morning, they started with 8 or 10 ticket sellers, I think. And then that just dwindled down throughout the weekend, just because they weren't needing so many ticket sellers. But they always kind of had between 8 and 10 scanning at once.
Now, in the ticket app, I know you can set up different configurations for different areas. So if you need a certain person doing certain things with the app, you can have them doing that. And then you can also have another configuration for other people. Did the Amigo Airsho need multiple different configurations? Or?
They did. And this is something that, because I've watched other videos from my colleagues that recorded, and they'll say, man, I love our check-in app. The check-in app is so cool. And I'm thinking in my head, you're just scanning a QR code. Like, what's so cool about that, right? But then to see it at scale at this event completely changed like my excitement for our check-in app. So they had 3 configurations. And so that way, not everyone is seeing all the different options on the ticket. Right, so I mentioned before how they have the drink voucher, right? So every ticket gets a free drink voucher. And so we had 3 configurations. So that way, whenever the volunteer scanned the QR code, it was just that interaction with that single person was streamlined. So you had configuration for ticket sellers, then you had configuration for ticket scanners, then we had a configuration for the drink vouchers. And so that way, whenever you scan that QR code, that's all that you're seeing. So it just kind of speeds up the process. It simplifies what's on the screen for the volunteer. And it's still a pretty simple thing to do, right? So if someone, someone is at the front gate, and then, let's say 2 o'clock rolls around and we don't need as many scanners. So they would change their configuration whenever they walked from the front gate to a drink tent. So now whenever they get to the drink tent, they're only seeing the ticket voucher to redeem. So that was pretty cool to see the different configurations work together at the event.
And you talked about QR codes. Where do they have the QR codes? Do the attendees usually bring their phone and have the QR codes ready to show you there, or did they have printed out tickets?
Yeah, for sure. So, so people that purchase online, they just all had it on their phone, and then of course we had several that took advantage of adding it to their Apple Wallet or Google Wallet that I saw as well. So that was pretty cool to see. That way they could show it at the front gate, right, to get to the front gate, and then they would show it again at the drink stations to redeem, their different drink vouchers. So just kind of made it streamlined, make sure no one lost it. Make sure that the air show didn't give out more drinks than what that person was allotted. So, so that method worked great for that, for sure.
I know when QR codes first came out, like not a lot of people would know what they were. Are you noticing that people at events are just kind of finding that common?
Well, I mean, I feel like people at events are learning more and more, about QR codes. I can't tell you how many folks that were older in age pulled out their iPhone, showed their QR code, it got scanned, and it wasn't a big deal at all. So, so yeah, I definitely think that's becoming more and more common as people of all different, backgrounds are getting more and more used to using QR codes and even, buying things online as well. So it really wasn't an issue at all for the air show.
Now, were there any issues that came up during the check-in process?
Yeah, so one of the main challenges that the show tried to solve was internet at the gate. So they actually brought in an outside vendor, and they increased the cellular coverage for the gate specifically. But because there were just so many people in that congested area, we did lose internet. So we did lose cellular coverage really for a couple of hours on Saturday for sure. But the beauty was our check-in app still works offline. So people were still able to scan and validate that ticket, even though they didn't have internet. And then, of course, after kind of, everyone kind of comes through the gate and it calms down a little bit, and then internet comes back on, then obviously the app refreshes and catches up. And then now all of your reporting is up to date. So that was pretty cool to also see the app work in its offline mode at scale as well. So it worked great. I didn't even bother the volunteers, but I even did preface that in my training class with them. So, hey, this could happen at an event this size. So when it did happen, they didn't even miss a beat.
Did the Amigo Airsho happen to use the different reports that we have within TicketSignup?
So reporting on site is something that I helped with, and then I even kind of leaned on their account manager as well. So even after the day on Saturday, so it was nice and crazy, I get back to the hotel, and I know that they're still cleaning up. I know they're still working away. So I actually ran the check-in interval report for them by the hour. And so main thing that I noticed from that is that the peak hour for check-ins was from noon to 1, but they were starting volunteers breaks at noon. And so I sent them a screenshot of that report and said, hey, just want to point this out for tomorrow. It may be helpful for the team if you could push back breaks until 1, or if you want to move them up a little bit earlier to 11, that might help us get through, get people to the gate a little quicker. So they did. They actually did shift volunteer breaks on Sunday due to that report that I sent them, on Saturday evening.
And what kind of feedback did you get from the air show itself?
So they were very happy with how fast the gate, would flow through there, right? So they actually would bus people in from the parking lots on school buses, and then they would unload from the school bus and get in line to be scanned in. So as you can imagine, that line can get backed up very, very quickly. And so I actually made it a point to ask some folks on Saturday during like the peak hours, I say, hey, how long did it take you to get through here? Hey, how are you guys doing? Trying to get a temperature check for how people are doing. Everyone was happy, no problems at all. So because the line is moving, right? So you can scan one QR code and say there's 6 people in my party, all 6 of them are here. So you just validated 6 tickets within one scan, and they go ahead and go on through. So then you're looking for the next QR code to scan. So they were very impressed with how quickly we could get through that many ticket scanning or ticket validations.
And what are some of your favorite parts from the air show?
Well, the food. I always like a good, some good food. On Saturday, I didn't really eat any food at all. Just was working the whole time. But on Sunday, I was able to get out and check out some of their local vendors and eat some pretty good food. And then again, I did mention earlier about the Canadian snowbirds. So that was really cool to see the Canadian snowbirds perform for the first time in person for me, which I think this is like their 100th year, I think. So they've had a big year this year. So that was, really cool to see as well.
Well, thanks, Devin.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Now, do you have any more air shows lined up that you're going to be helping out?
So that was the last one for the calendar year. Unfortunately, the air show season is coming to a close. But we are going to the ICAST convention, right? So the International Council of Air Shows. We are going to that convention, and we will be at booth 506. It'll be Cam and myself out there in Vegas. And so we would absolutely love to meet you and your team in person if you're going to that convention. Or if not, feel free to reach out via email. And I just love talking air shows and helping you solve problems for air shows leading into next year. So yeah, just reach out directly, and I'd love to help.